Today is another harvesting day for you to learn Chinese because today you're going to learn 40 sentences in Chinese characters. After watching today's video, you'll be able to speak, understand, read, and type 40 sentences in Chinese characters. If that sounds like something that you want to achieve in 30 minutes, keep watching. Hi, this is Chi from Deepling, a channel that makes Chinese easy. If you're new here, this is a place where you could learn Chinese as a beginner as easily as possible and for free. Because I've made it my mission to make Chinese as easy as possible and as available as possible to everyone who wants to learn Chinese. So if you're someone who is learning Chinese, please subscribe and follow me so that you can follow the courses that I publish every week.
After lesson 1 and 2, you've learned how to say 40 sentences in Chinese to state a status and ask a question about it, using 5 different formulas. They are something, how, ma, a yes-no question asking about if something is at a certain status, and 4 possible answers to describe the status. Something very how, something not too how, something not how, and something not at all how. And just like I did before, you will need lesson 1 to 8 to harvest today. If the word harvest doesn't ring a bell to you, I suggest that you watch lesson 7 for a better understanding why you need to first sow in order to harvest. There, I explained how learning the characters should be a harvesting process to have sustainable learning results.
There's something I want to mention here first. I've noticed that some videos are watched more often than the others, and there's nothing wrong about that. I think it's quite natural that people choose what they prefer to learn or watch first. Especially for today, you can clearly see that all the content for today is actually from lessons 1 and 2. So you might ask,
should I learn lessons 1 and 2 and then come straight here? After all, I'm repeating the same content once for spoken Chinese and once for written Chinese. Isn't it better that I organize it this way?
I personally wouldn't recommend doing so. I think it's better that you leave some space between the things that you've just learned, which is spoken Chinese, and the things that you are about to learn, which is written Chinese. That is because something that you've just learned is still so fresh that you tend to forget after a short while. So you learned lesson 3 and 4, and then lesson 5 and 6, where I mixed lesson 3 and 4 together with lesson 1 and 2 to refresh your memory. Are you enjoying this video? If you are, please give me a thumbs up. That would motivate me a lot. So with all these being said, let's start with today's lesson.
There is one character that I left out from the last lesson because I decided it would be better that you learn it today. This character only occurs in a yes-no question and is a symbol for a yes-no question. Learning it now would be better for your understanding since we're now putting it into a context. This word is ma. Ma. I know it looks similar to another character, ma, and they share exactly the same pronunciation. Ma from mama, which you've learned in lesson 8. Pay close attention to the left part. Ma and ma.
I'm not diving deep into this because this could be easily too overwhelming. So I'll leave it as simple as I can.
If you separate these two characters, each character consists of two characters. Let's first take a closer look at ma in mama. Ma consists of these two characters. The right part is ma, which means horse. It's a real word. It's truly equivalent to the word horse and can exist alone. But I don't want to dive into why did they use this character horse to build all these further characters, because that would be like learning Latin first just to learn the word horse. I think at this stage, you already know more than necessary to understand the context. So let's focus on the left part. 女 is a character you probably will need in China. It's pronounced as 女. Most of the time, people translate it as woman, but that is not accurate because you cannot use the word 女 to express the meaning of women or woman. The word woman in Chinese is 女人. The more accurate translation would be female. 女人 is a female person, and a 男人, a man, is a male person. However, 女 is another word that almost can never exist alone. It only occurs as a single word when you need to answer the question, what is the gender? Otherwise, it's mostly used in a word serving as a word root. A word root should not be used as a word, but it serves a certain function. It indicates that this word had something to do with its basic root meaning. So, mama has 女 on the left. It is hence something that is female. And the fact that a mother is a woman is not hard to guess. The new word, ma, also consists of two characters. The right part is still horse, ma, but the left part this time is 口. 口 means exactly how it looks like, mouth, generally speaking. And 口 is also just a word root. You cannot use it alone. Having a 口 there indicates communication, hence the question mark. Another word that needs to be mentioned here is 辣椒 and 辣. 辣 itself is a real word that can't stand alone. It's an adjective. 辣 describes the burning feeling specifically. So it's a very specific spiciness. That's why I think hot is the closer translation, and we can call them equivalent here. What's more complicated is 椒 here.
You can consider 椒 as a kind of a symbol that indicates this is about a plant that is spicy, and it doesn't matter what kind of spiciness it is. So let's call it pepper for now. However, 椒 is not pepper, although a lot of people translate it this way. That's because pepper is a real word, and 椒 is not. It's just a word root. So it's one of the characters that I mentioned in lesson 8. It cannot exist alone. It can only exist in combinations. However, whenever you see the character 椒 in the future, you would know now it's about a plant that is somehow spicy. But what plant it is, you don't know yet.
Indeed, if you ignore the fact that 椒 is not a real word, the closest translation would be pepper, because pepper also indicates two different groups of plants, Piperaceae and capsicum. Wikipedia explained quite in detail what the difference is. I decided to simplify these two groups as black pepper and chili pepper. Black pepper is something that came late to China as a foreign product. It came together with white pepper. So black and white pepper are both called 胡椒. Foreign pepper in Chinese. 胡 is Old Chinese for foreign, but that's Old Chinese again, like Latin. Let's not dig too deep into this. Knowing who means foreign is just a fun fact for now. And you know an exact same case reversed in English, which is Sichuan pepper. Just like we don't really use the word Chinese food in China when we eat, Sichuan pepper also does not exist in Chinese. The correct word for Sichuan pepper in Chinese is 花椒, flower pepper. And now I think it's finally the perfect timing to mention what a chili is. 辣椒, 辣椒, hot pepper.
This process is extremely unnecessary to just learn the word chili. So I think it's a great evidence to prove that it's far better to learn real words with their characters instead of just learning single characters. I hope these explanations helped you understand the difference between these two characters. Now, after all these being clarified, let's get started.
Our first formula is something 好吗 to ask a yes-no question about a status.
Now, listen to these sentences and at the same time, try to read all these characters. Can you recognize them all? If not, pause and go back to lessons 7 and 8 to review single characters.
你好吗? 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 你冷吗? 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 你热吗? 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 你高兴吗? 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 你伤心吗? 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 爸爸好吗? 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 妈妈好吗? 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 工作好吗? 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 电脑好吗? 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 房子好吗? 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 房子贵吗? 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 工作忙吗? 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 公司远吗? 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 学校近吗? 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 Our next formula is something very how.
Do the same as before. Listen to these sentences and meanwhile, try to read these characters. The goal here is to get used to reading characters in these sentences. So whenever you feel it's a little too much or there is something that you don't understand, pause or go back to lesson 7 and 8 to repeat the lessons.
我很好，我很好，我很好。天气很热，天气很热，天气很热。今天很冷，今天很冷，今天很冷。春天很美，春天很美，春天很美。公园很大，公园很大，公园很大。学校很远，学校很远，学校很远。芒果很甜，芒果很甜，芒果很甜。
The next formula is
a status statement that is slightly negative. Something not too how. 我不太好，我不太好，我不太好。天气不太热，天气不太热，天气不太热。今天不太冷，今天不太冷，今天不太冷。春天不太美，春天不太美，春天不太美。公园不太大，公园不太大，公园不太大。学校不太远，学校不太远，学校不太远。芒果不太甜，芒果不太甜，芒果不太甜。
Now the next formula, the simply not status.
Something not how. 西瓜不大，西瓜不大，西瓜不大。德国不热，德国不热，德国不热。牛奶不甜，牛奶不甜，牛奶不甜。辣椒不辣，辣椒不辣，辣椒不辣。电视不好看，电视不好看，电视不好看。电影不好看，电影不好看，电影不好看。
And now the last formula, not even a little bit.
something not at all. How?
西瓜一点也不大。西瓜一点也不大。西瓜一点也不大。德国一点也不热。德国一点也不热。德国一点也不热。牛奶一点也不甜。牛奶一点也不甜。牛奶一点也不甜。辣椒一点也不辣。辣椒一点也不辣。辣椒一点也不辣。电视一点也不好看。电视一点也不好看。电视一点也不好看。电影一点也不好看。电影一点也不好看。电影一点也不好看。
The next step is to type down entire sentences wherever you feel like to. And this step is actually much easier than lessons 7 and 8 because this time your opinion input has done the job for you. The combinations are most of the time correct. That's why I'm asking you here again to stick with the plan, to start with lessons 7 and 8 first before you go with lesson 9. That way, you could really make sure that you remembered each element. With all these being said, though, there could be mistakes in these combinations, so do double check.
I will read them slowly for 3 times, and you will type them down wherever you feel comfortable. It could be in the comment below, but also in a program that you use. Shortly after you've typed down the sentence, I will show the answer instantly. So check each time after you've typed a sentence.
你好吗？你好吗？你好吗？你冷吗？你冷吗？你冷吗？你热吗？你热吗？你热吗？你高兴吗？你高兴吗？你高兴吗？你伤心吗？你伤心吗？你伤心吗？爸爸好吗？爸爸好吗？爸爸好吗？妈妈好吗？妈妈好吗？妈妈好吗？工作好吗？工作好吗？工作好吗？电脑好吗？电脑好吗？电脑好吗？房子好吗？房子好吗？房子好吗？房子贵吗？房子贵吗？房子贵吗？工作忙吗？工作忙吗？工作忙吗？公司 远吗？公司远吗？公司远吗？学校近吗？学校近吗？学校近吗？我很好，我很好，我很好。天气很热，天气很热，天气很热。今天很冷，今天很冷，今天很冷。春天很美，春天很美，春天很美。公园很大，公园很大，公园很大。学校很远，学校很远，学校很远。芒果很甜，芒果很甜，芒果很甜。我不太好，我不太好，我不太好。天气不太热，天气不太热，天气不太热。今天不太冷，今天不太冷，今天不太冷。春天不太美，春天不太美，春天不太美。公园不太大，公园不太大，公园不太大。学校不太远，学校不太远，学校不太远。芒果不太甜，芒果不太甜，芒果不太甜。西瓜不大，西瓜不大，西瓜不大。德国不热，德国不热，德国不热。牛奶不甜，牛奶不甜，牛奶不甜。辣椒不辣，辣椒不辣，辣椒不辣。电视不好看，电视不好看，电视不好看。电影不好看，电影不好看，电影不好看。西瓜一点也不大，西瓜一点也不大，西瓜一点也不大。德国一点也不热，德国 一点也不热。德国一点也不热。牛奶一点也不甜。牛奶一点也不甜。牛奶一点也不甜。辣椒一点也不辣。辣椒一点也不辣。辣椒一点也不辣。电视一点也不好看。电视一点也不好看。电视一点也不好看。电影一点也不好看。电影一点也不好看。电影一点也不好看。
Now this is the final step. Listen to these English sentences and translate them into Chinese. You can type wherever you like. The only thing important here is that you really do it, so don't skip it.
Now listen to the sentences and translate them into Chinese. 1. How are you? Are you fine? 2. Are you cold? 3. Are you hot? 4. Are you happy? 5. Are you sad? 6. How's Dad? Is Dad fine? 7. How's Mom? Is Mom fine? 8. How's work? Is work going on well? 9. Is the computer good? 10. Is the apartment good? Is the house good? 11. Is the apartment expensive? Is the house expensive? 12. Is the job busy? Do you have a lot to do at work? 13. Is the company far away? 14. Is the school near here? 15. I'm fine. 16. It's cold. The weather is cold. 17. It's cold today. Today is cold. 18. Spring is beautiful. 19. The park is big. 20. The school is far from here. 21. Mangoes are sweet. 22. I am not so well. I'm not that fine. 23. The weather is not too hot. 24. Today is not very cold. 25. Spring is not so beautiful. 26. The park is not too big. 27. The school is not too far away. 28. Mangoes are not too sweet. 29. The watermelon is not big. 30. Germany is not hot. 31. The milk is not sweet. 32. The chili is not spicy. The chili is not hot. 33. The TV show is not good. 34. The movie is not good. 35. The watermelon is not big at all. 36. Germany is not hot at all. 37. The milk is not sweet at all. 38. The chili is not hot at all. The chili is not spicy at all. 39. The TV show is not good at all. 40. The movie is not good at all. Now, check the answers. Make sure you chose the right combination. Not all suggestions are correct.
I have a last question for you. Are you excited? It's not a long time ago, but if you followed me correctly, you can now speak, understand, read, and write 40 Chinese sentences with their characters. This is huge. I would definitely call it a milestone. Because from today on, you can call yourself a Chinese learner for real. You've found your way. You've set your foot in the door. Because today, you've already gained a basic understanding how Chinese works as a language. And from now on, you could only become better. I hope this video helped you gain an easier access to the Chinese language. If you liked it, please subscribe to follow all the courses that I publish every week. Because together, we can make Chinese easy.